Hello everybody and welcome to the Across the Stages podcast, brought to you by Absolute Motorsport Radio and also available on Absolute Motorsport TV. I'm James Casey and joining me today will be Joshua Suttill. We're going to be previewing Rally Sweden and going through all of the runners on this year's event. Rally Sweden gets underway tomorrow night. And it should be an interesting one because we've got some really good entries, plenty to talk about today across all four classes now of the WRC. Let's start first of all by just going through this entry list that we've got. And we've got the same 11 that we had from round 1 in Monte Carlo, and then we have 3 additional entries as well, including two-time world champion Marcus Gronholm. And this is a really interesting one. He's in a Toyota Yaris, the first time that we're going to see a private Toyota Yaris running. And a long break since his last rally. But Josh, how do you think he is going to fare this weekend?
Well, he set himself a difficult challenge. I mean, he knows this event obviously very, very well, but he hasn't had too much time in the new cars. I think it's very different from, say, when Loeb came back. And, he did his sort of returning rounds. Gronholm's going to have, I think, a much tougher time. But, yeah, it'd be great to see him back in the championship. A fantastic character. And in that Yaris as well, in terms of the snowbanks and that, it should be pretty exciting to see.
I think he's got his ideas right in terms of why he's doing this. He's doing it just for fun. He's not really setting himself too much expectation. But in the same respect, he is preparing for it. He has done a proper pre-event test. He's not just turning up at the event itself. In terms of what I think he can do, I think he might be able to beat 1 or 2 of the WRC runners, as in proper ones. I think he could be towards the low end of the points, but and then if it was an interesting event, maybe get into the top 5, but I think you'd be
okay.
I think you'd be down to ask quite a few drivers to drop out for that to happen.
I'm a lot more pessimistic, to be honest. I'm thinking around sort of R5 runners, to be honest. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I just he is so good at this event that he could pull something off. I mean, it's hard to tell who. We will go through later, of course, the main runners. But I suppose last season in Sweden, everyone was quite competitive, weren't they? Because Loeb opening the road ended up actually being the last WRC runner. So maybe it's hard to pick out 1 or 2 weak points that he could beat. But yeah. So you think R5 kind of miles off the pace, or just a little bit off the guys?
I think, a little bit off. I mean, on certain stages as well, I'm sure he'll be up there with the main guys. But, I can't really see him taking any sort of stage wins or real sort of big performances. Like you say, he's going to need some issues but for other drivers. But, if he can get to the end, then, especially on an event like Sweden, you can find yourself in the points.
Yeah, I think it will be. It is hard to tell. I think that will be definitely interesting because Loeb just did such a good job coming back. I think everyone, maybe that's why I'm setting my expectations not massively high, but a little bit higher than you probably would have done before Loeb did his amazing job coming back. But it's not just Gronholm to look out for. We've got a couple of privateers at this round as well. Lorenzo Bertelli and Jan Tunino, who's both going to be in M Sport 4s. Not really expecting too much from these guys, are we? I think that they are definitely here just for fun and to give themselves a run in an up-to-date WRC car, which must just be really enjoyable.
I mean, it's good to see, isn't it? 3 privateers in current spec WRC cars. It's sort of one sort of disadvantage of this new generation is that we don't see the privateers that we used to see when the likes of Bertelli and Prokop and Gorban, were in the championship a couple of years ago. So yeah, it's good to see maybe a bit of a return to form for the privateers. Hopefully that Yaris can get used as well for someone else later in the year. Could we see a bit of a left field choice in there? Then let's hope so. But it's most of all good to see. And if they can get to the end, they can definitely score points.
Let's move on to our proper main contenders now. Pontus Tiedemann, after Monte Carlo, that was his rally preparing. This is kind of a make or break rally for his career, I would say. Well, it might not. He might not be that, but it could well be. A bigger result is crucial for him.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, it's all been sort of working up to this one. Settling in fairly nicely at Monty. I mean, obviously he had those incidents, so it didn't quite go to plan there. But yeah, this is really the big one. His home event. He's had plenty of success on this before. But of course, last time he was in Sweden, he was beaten by Katsuta. So I think there's almost a bit of a sort of revenge needed as well in Sweden. He's got sort of unfinished business here, so he usually likes this event and should have a decent chance of success. But really, he's got to be sort of trying to get as close as possible to Sunderland and Evans, really trying to lead M Sports Charge this weekend. And if he's able to do that, I'm sure we'll see him in the car again. But if not, then it may only be a few rounds and might be more dependent on sort of what budget he can bring, rather than sort of M Sport wanting him in there, wanting them sort of in their car.
Yeah, that's a perfect way of describing it, isn't it? It's all about he's got to make himself wanted at M Sport, and this is his opportunity to do so. Who are we thinking is going to be competitive at this event? Because for me, I'm struggling to think of anyone as a standout kind of favourite or second favourite after we saw Monte Carlo being quite mixed in terms of pace.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. And in terms of the history of Sweden as well, OJ's had plenty of success there. Didn't have a great rally last year though. Neville usually hasn't, but then he won last year. Tanak, of course, is always quick. Tota won here with Latvala, a couple of years ago. So could he be in the mix? I really think it's just going to be the sort of usual suspects. Chris Meek has never really, had a sort of click to Sweden. Certainly not sort of in recent years. So maybe that's one to sort of take a note of. I actually don't really remember him ever having a good finish here, and not having an incident. So let's see if he can keep it on the road in Toyota. So yeah, I expect Toyota to be quicker. I expect Hyundai to be quicker, and I expect Citroen to be quicker. So yeah, it should really be more of the same in terms of just an incredibly close fight.
And something that I've seen quite a lot of discussion about is the concerns about the rising temperatures at the moment in Sweden. I haven't seen an update today, but there were concerns about there maybe not being too much snow, and then it kind of becoming, if there's not much snow, it then becomes a bit of a mud bath to Sweden. So that could also play into its hands, because last year when there was loads of snow, it completely scuppered any chances of the front runners doing well. But it could almost work the opposite here. But I don't know what the conditions are like, but I wouldn't really want to see that where we have kind of these really odd conditions.
Yeah, and I think either way, OJ is really going to struggle. I think Sweden is probably the hardest event to sort of go first on the road on. So yeah, OJ is going to have a difficult, but difficult time of it. But like you say, if there isn't much snow, then maybe he'll have the best of the conditions. So I think it really, really could go either way, and that will probably, like you say, decide the outcome of the rally.
But yeah, we will see on that one. As I said, not sure what the current situation is with regards to the conditions, but they were just some concerns in the run-up. And so that is WRC and WRC2 Pro. We've got 5 entrants this time round in WRC2 Pro, and also in the standard WRC2 we've got plenty of entries, as we usually get in Sweden. Plenty of that. Really good to see the R5 class thriving, and although we haven't got a massive lot of pro cars, it's much better to have 5 here, and we've got some pretty good names in there as well, haven't we, out of that 5?
Yeah, definitely. We've got plenty of quality there. We've got Mads Osberg, stepping back to WRC2. He'll be making his sort of re-debut, I guess, in this category, and sort of certainly his sort of a proper run with the Citroen. Probably their best chance of winning sort of the class in a very, very long time. On the sort of pre-rally, he did a rally before this event, and he sort of was not exactly dominant. He was right in a sort of amongst the regulars, and that's kind of what I expect this weekend as well. I don't think he's going to be sort of clear of the rest. He'll be right in amongst them, because the rest are a really talented bunch. Like you say, you've got Rovan Perez, Skoda, Pietarin as well, who obviously won the class last year in Finland and did a really good job. He's been signed by Skoda. Gus Greensmith, who was so good last time out. And Pianczek as well, the Polish guy, who's always pretty good, and plenty of guys in the sort of normal WRC2 as well. We've got Katsuta coming back. He's on Pirellis. We've got Henning Solberg. Reese Yates. Ole Christian Baby was really good in that sort of pre-event as well in a polo. We've got Johan Kristoffersen. So yeah, there's so many names there, James. Which one does sort of jump out to you?
Yeah, it is a really tricky one to call, and I think for pro and for overall WRC2, you'd go with Rovanperä, but I don't think it's going to be easy for him. I think, to be honest, going into every event, you've got to say Rovanperä is the favourite. But this one will be tricky. There's so much competition, which is really good to see. I think in terms of like your standard WRC2, again, probably Veiby. But there's so many names. Jari Huutonen, another one.
Making his debut for Skoda, of course.
Yeah, after Hinder aren't running a program this year, so he's kind of, again, a driver who's really got to do something this weekend. Who else we got? Johan Kristoffersen from World Rallycross, of course. 2-time world champion is another one going there. So it is super tricky to call. Did you say Nicholas Grazin?
No, of course, the European Rally Championship as well.
Yeah, under 28 champion from last year. So really, I've got
Emil Bergqvist as well, junior WRC champion. So it's a stacked field, and I just hope that plenty of them gets to the end, because sometimes we've had this before. We get a bunch of names and they're all out in the first place. So hopefully, enough of them will get through, and we'll have I don't want to say for once, but we'll have sort of the best battle in a while, because there are so many names there.
Yeah, I think that should be absolutely cracking, just going through that. And I'm gonna put he's not my favourite for victory, but I'm gonna just say don't forget about Solberg as well. I think he could do quite well, because he's done a couple of rounds, again, a couple of pre-events in the Norwegian Championship, and he's been competitive. He's been on the pace of kind of Veiby and Osberg. So I think he's another one who could possibly do something, but you never really know with Henning. He's quite you get quite a mixed bag, don't you, with him? But it'll be quite interesting to see him against all these young drivers to look out for. Yeah.
I'm going to say Veiby again. I said it in Monaco. I'm going to back him again. I think he had good pre-event pace. Hopefully that polo holds together. It is a really, really quick car, so I'm going to hope it's going to come together, and he's actually going to win not only the sort of normal WRC, but WRC Pro as well. Even though he's not entered into that, but he'll be I think he'll be the top R5, and Rovanperä will have an incident, I reckon.
Ooh. I mean, it could very well happen. He's definitely going to have to push, isn't he? He's not going to. He's definitely going to have to push, so it is going to be in that kind of area where you could make mistakes. And then, of course, we've got the junior WRC getting underway as well. And again, I think we've got some really cracking entries into this. We've got Dennis Radstrom, Ken Thorne, and Julius Tannert, who I think are coming back for at least their third season in junior WRC. It might even be more than that. But they've got quite a lot of experience now. They're the kind of settled guys in junior WRC. And then we've got some really good new names as well. We've got Martin Sykes from Latvia, who's done very well in the Latvian Junior Championship and in the European Under-27 Championship, which he won last year for the R2 cars. And then we've got Jan Solens, who's the brother of Neil Solens, who won the championship in 2017. So I think this is going to be really interesting again, and it's hard to call a name out of that.
Yeah, I think Radstrom, I reckon, maybe for this event, with it being his home event, like you said, with that experience, he'll be up there. And Ken Thorne as well. I put them two, in my personal opinion, as the top two, and then out of the rest of them, like you mentioned, Martin Sykes, I don't know how you pronounce it, to be honest.
You're right. I think you're right. I got it
right. But, he's very talented as well, like you say. So I reckon he's my sort of dark horse pick. If not for this event, then I reckon for the rest of the championship, definitely.
I mean, being from Latvia, he should have a good amount of snow experience. So, and I was really surprised. It was a name that I hadn't really heard too much of until this event, but he has done a lot of really good things that are kind of just gone under my radar. So I think he could be one. And then we've of course got Britain represented by Tom Williams, who's coming into his second season. Be interesting to see how he goes. sure exactly what to expect from him. I think he was kind of battling for a top 5 last year. He'll probably be hoping for podium positions this year. But the Junior Championship is one that you really have to wait, because there could be a hidden gem. There could be someone that we haven't mentioned.
Maybe Yantalant will be better than his brother and not be so disappointing. But we'll see.
But yeah, overall there are 13 drivers in Junior WRC from 10 nations as well. So really good representation from around the world, which is nice to see. And once again, they're in Fiesta R2s. But anyway, that has covered Rally Sweden, and we'll be back for WRC content on Rally Sweden after the event, going through the ins and outs of what's happened across all of the classes. And also we've got something for you tomorrow night, which is something a little bit different. I'm not going to give it away for the moment, but tomorrow night we'll have something else not related to the WRC. So look out for that, and we will see you then. Goodbye.